Finally. Felicia? Are you here?
So in Perception, you play as Cassie, who's a blind woman who uses echolocation to navigate essentially a haunted mansion in New England. And so Cassie, for months and months, has been haunted by these visions of these nightmares of this mansion called Echo Bluff. And when she discovers where it is, she winds up hopping on the first plane she can find and showing up in Gloucester, Massachusetts, and being like, "Why am I here?" And so what you'll do is you'll explore the mansion, piece together the mystery of why you're being called there. You'll meet ghosts, and you'll find logs and letters and essentially piece together that narrative. And as you do, you'll jump back in time and you'll watch the house shift and you'll meet new characters. And so it's all about that mystery of like, why am I being called here? But at the same time, there's this thing we call the presence that's hunting you down, and you see through sound. So you use your cane, your white cane, you tap to actually see and use echolocation. But if you create too much sound, it'll come hunting you down. Yeah, in a lot of ways, we say it's kind of like a cat and mouse game. And so you have to very carefully weigh how much noise you make. And sometimes you can create distractions. You can pick stuff up and throw it down the hall to distract the presence. But for the most part, you're just going to be very careful about how much noise you're making.
Who is master of the world?
The initial concept came from a number of different places, but it was primarily driven from a desire to create a unique twist on horror. We've always said that information is the enemy of horror. And so with that idea, we tried to find a way to conceal the information of the world. And we thought, what if you played as a blind woman? And so turning the way you're getting information from the world into a mechanic of tapping and creating noise and creating sounds to create visuals, that seemed like a natural fit. So that was primarily from that, but then also it solved the issue of like trying to find a unique aesthetic for the world and a different perspective, showing the world from a blind character's perspective. So it's kind of one of those rare projects where all the sort of pieces fit together very nicely. You know? We did quite a bit of research for Perception, actually. I spent my final semester in grad school studying blindness and how blind people use technology to adapt. And we actually incorporated quite a bit of our learnings from that feedback. What we spoke with Daniel Kish from World Access for the Blind, who he himself is blind and he teaches blind people how to echolocate. So lots of research into technology and how blind people use technology to sort of aid in their navigation of the world. So lots and lots, and we're still learning quite a bit, but it's been a great experience trying to learn essentially an entire different perspective on the world.
I don't want to end up like that.
The game takes place in Gloucester, Mass. Yeah, I do think that once the game is out and they've been able to explore all the chapters in the game, I think there'll be a greater appreciation because there's a lot of the history rooted from the area into the game, and so I think local people, the people from New England, are really going to appreciate that for sure. I was at Irrational Games for about 12 years. I was a level designer on SWAT 4, and then I was lead level designer on BioShock, and then design director on BioShock Infinite. So I've been lucky enough to work with some really talented people and work with Ken Levine, the creative director who taught me just a ton. He's a very close friend of mine, and he's been very supportive as we've taken on Perception. But again, I learned a lot from him and the team. I've imbued a lot of what I've learned into the game and how to build this sort of atmosphere and the vibe and the narrative. That's all stuff that's kind of become part of my DNA. And very lucky to work with that team. That was my first real design job on SWAT 4. And to be able to look back, and we only had 3 designers on that game. And so to pull off what we did, I'm very proud of it. But to be able to pull off the level of detail and quality with a team that size, I always look back very fondly at sort of like what that was like to work on that tight-knit team. And I learned a ton. I was able to get my hands in everything. And I don't know that I'd be here today if not for that. So really, we're mostly contractors. We're sort of all remote. Mostly people I've worked with on the BioShock team. As an indie studio, we sort of like cobble together whatever kind of time we can get. If someone's helping out with animations on the weekend, that sort of thing. But in terms of overall help, we've had probably about 20 people working on the project. So we're really small, we're really tight-knit. And yeah, just cranking away, trying to make the best game possible, you know? We were kickstarted about 2 years ago. Very fortunate to be able to get the kind of feedback and involvement from the fans. That's really important to me. So this kind of event where, you know, you have this intimate relationship with the people who are playing the game and be able to say like, what's working, what's not working, what do you like and what do you not like, and that's huge. It's something I value a lot. Oh, absolutely. Big fan. They were hugely supportive, Kickstarter. Yeah, there are features in here today because of Kickstarter. When we were during our campaign, we got a lot of feedback being like, hey, you know, I really like Cassie, the main character, but I'm used to horror games where the character doesn't really talk that much. So we added this thing in we call silent night mode, which allows the user to sort of play as Cassie as we wrote her, or make it so that she only speaks for plot critical lines. So yeah, Kickstarter was great in that regard. You know, we basically be able to get feedback very early on and iterate on that right away. Absolutely. I love VR, big fan. I'm always looking for new technology, and I think that's honestly a good fit here. We haven't had the chance to really fully explore it, so my hope is if the game comes out and it does well enough, that we'll be able to explore that. But right now it's PC, Xbox One, and PS4, and we're very likely to hit the Switch as well. I'm a huge fan of that as well, so there is definitely I think VR would probably come after all of that. We haven't announced the date yet. We're going to very shortly. It's in the next few months, next couple of months. So it's coming up real fast. That's why this event is great, be able to get our last bits of feedback in, last tweaks, bug fixes, that sort of thing. But it's coming up pretty quick.